Thank you. My name is Brian O'Beirne. I'm here on behalf of Reality Network. Reality Network is an intrinsically secure and decentralized blockchain platform. We call it a layer 0 because it is universally interoperable with all other blockchains. You can swap any token for any token, and you can run nodes on your laptops and phones and earn rewards passively by sharing your idle compute with the network. So that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for having me in your beautiful country. I am from Ireland. Hands up, anyone who knows Ireland here? The home of leprechauns and Guinness. My last name is O'Beirne, which is actually an African name. It's just that we put an apostrophe after the O. So I don't know if you guys get that. So I want to tell you about Reality Network and how it can help build an internet that works for Africa and a world that works for you. And so to that end, I want to tell you a story. This story is set in 1948. It's just the end of World War II and the beginning of the Cold War. And the Allies are trying to understand how they can develop secure communication. In Bell Labs, they developed some of the most innovative technology and inventions of the modern era. These included the transistor, the laser, and cellular telephone networks. But the most profound invention that came out of Bell Labs was, in fact, something intangible. It was a mathematical framework that went on to define the era of modern communication. So, at this point in history, there was a debate going on in Bell Labs about how the West could win the Cold War. And there were two schools of thought. The first was a school of thought that was originated by a man called Vannevar Bush, who invented the differential analyzer, which was one of the first computers ever made. And Vannevar Bush basically lobbied his colleagues in Bell Labs, saying that we need infrastructure, we need to build, we need to invest. And this did seem like an obvious solution. It seemed like the best way to solve the problems they were facing was to throw money at them and build, build, build. But fools rush in where angels fear to tread. And there was a young student of Vannevar Bush who begged to differ. His name was Claude Shannon. And Claude Shannon had been working on one of the first computers under Vannevar Bush. And he was a very unusual person, a very colorful personality. He used to juggle and ride the unicycle and invented very whimsical things like a mechanical mouse that could find its way through a maze and a flamethrower trumpet. The story goes that one day, Claude Shannon was working in Bell Labs and he had a eureka moment, a flash of insight where all the pieces of the puzzle fell together. And this flash of insight led to his mathematical theory of communication. This was a whole new paradigm, a new way of thinking about how data was stored and transmitted. And what it entailed was not throwing vast amounts of money at building new infrastructure, but in fact, using the infrastructure that they already had more effectively. And this insight, this one paper published in 1948, had massive consequences for the entire world. It gave birth to the digital age, and every device in everyone's pocket here utilizes the insights from this one paper. It explains the rise of the entire telecommunications age and the digital age. I would submit to you that now, Africa is at a similar crossroads. You have a young, extremely intelligent, and technologically tenacious population, and yet the infrastructure isn't there yet. So the question is, what do you do? Where do you go from here? You have cloud giants who only started building data center and infrastructure here in Africa in 2019. The first data centers were built here in Kenya in 2020. Why are they so slow to cater to Africans? It's because they don't care about Africans, they care about profit. And that if you sign on to their infrastructure, ultimately it is a poison pill. You are setting yourself up for dependency on infrastructure that you don't own. And that is a recipe for disaster. So what I would say is, when these CEOs come to you, whether they be from Amazon or Google or what have you, and they tell you that they care about Africa, they use African tropes and African language to try to convince you that their infrastructure is for you, don't believe them. Because Africa is the one who should supply the solutions for African problems. How do we know, ladies and gentlemen, that this will happen? It's because it's already how they operate throughout the world. Cloud giants have been extorting money from startups for years. One Kenyan example is Twiga Foods, which was the CEO was forced to resign after a Google subsidiary named Incentro started jacking up the cloud bills as soon as they started to scale. And I'm sure you're all familiar with Twiga. This is their game. They give you cloud credits, they draw you in, you build, and then they rug you. Then they jack up the prices and the bills. So why not build public infrastructure here in Africa? Well, because it requires a massive amount of investment, and it is a massive collective action problem. A collective action problem is where many people are trying to solve one issue, and it really only complicates the issue further, and it makes it intractable. So what is the solution? I would say that the solution is to use the infrastructure you already have right here in your pocket to host your own sovereign African internet. And that is what we at Reality Network can help you do. Wyatt Melman Flock is our founder and the inventor of our technology. And the flash of insight in Wyatt's case came in the form of our consensus algorithm called 2meme. 2meme is essentially a reaction by Wyatt to the fact that cloud companies extorted him in a previous company, which he launched and which was forced to shut down because of cloud bills. And also, it is his response to blockchain technology writ large today. He and we at Reality have looked at all of the blockchain technology out there, and we found it wanting. There are too many barriers to entry for the average person to participate. You require, in the case of proof of work, expensive hardware that is out of reach for most people. In the case of proof of stake, you need a large amount of financial collateral. Most blockchain networks are now centralized under the hood, but purport or claim to be decentralized. And it's not true. They are not. You know why? Because they cannot even explain to you what decentralization means. They can't define it. And we at Reality Network say that decentralization means it is open to all. It is accessible to all, not just those with technical acumen, not just those with financial collateral or hardware resources. It means that every single person in this room should be able to run a node and participate and host applications and host the African internet. And so that is exactly what we have provided. We have an open source protocol. It is available for everyone to download from our website. We have an application called Portal. You can download it onto your laptop. You can download it onto your phone. You click a button, and now your phone, your laptop is part of our network. What it means is that builders can use our SDK and developer API and build something and host it on the computers in your own communities. You can host it, you can host the applications of your neighbors, of your friends, of your families. And that means that you won't have to pay the extortionate bills. And in fact, you can reward those around you who support you and your building efforts. And meanwhile, you can reward them as well, so that when you succeed, they succeed too. This is the core idea behind Reality Network. And we would love to talk to you more about this. We were down in Cape Town a few months ago in a township called Langa, where we're helping a young entrepreneur there scale his business and avoid these fire-based cloud bills which he's been confronted with. We are integrating with every other chain in existence. We're already integrated with Ethereum. On our system, this is a very important point. You can swap between any currency, right? You can swap directly between Bitcoin and Ethereum. You can swap directly between Ethereum and Solana. You don't need bridges. You don't need liquidity pools. You don't need AMMs. All you need is our application, and it will handle that swap deterministically and securely. So those are just some of the features and some of the points I'd like to make. Thank you again for having me. It's really an honor to be here.